Tier lists are really easy content, and I think it's about time I hop on this trend. I've been playing on Hypixel for like 8 years, which means I am a definitive authority on this topic and will be giving the most 100% accurate results. Anyway, we'll be going through every single Hypixel game in alphabetical order, starting with arcade games. Arcade games are pretty hard to rank because of just how many modes there are and how much they range in quality. I enjoy games like Pixel Party, Zombies, Party Games, and a few others, but I just can't get into games like Galaxy Wars and whatever the one with the dragon is that I can't remember the name of. Here's the thing though, when I think of Hypixel's arcade games, I'm not thinking about throwout, you know, I'm thinking about all the more fun ones that I consistently can enjoy. And there are quite a few enjoyable games in the arcade, so I'd say overall, it deserves an A tier. Honestly, I could probably make a whole tier list just on the arcade games, and hey, I might even try that sometime. Arena Brawl. Before this starts, I would like to sincerely apologize to the singular Arena Brawl fan out there. How is it that this is the biggest server on all of Minecraft, and yet it still will take a while for a game of Arena Brawl to start, even though it needs 2 people? Probably because nothing interesting ever happens during Arena Brawl, which is hard to imagine given that I'm shooting exploding chickens at people. You would think that might be the most interesting thing to ever occur, but it just seems like there's a bunch of random crap flying all over the screen, and honestly, it's just not fun. If you want a 1v1 combat game mode, just play Duels instead. Don't waste your time here, it's in the F tier. Bedwars. I've always just naturally gravitated more towards PvP minigames, and I think that has a lot to do with just how I started on Hypixel and where I've spent most of my time playing Minecraft. In my eyes, Bedwars is the most consistently enjoyable PvP minigame today. I've met a lot of people through Bedwars, and I've also made a ton of fun memories through it. It's definitely the most essential Hypixel game for me. While I may have had higher peaks with other Hypixel game modes, I do think Bedwars is the one I've gotten the most consistent enjoyment out of, and it's definitely the one I look forward to revisiting the most. Plus, I have an easier time convincing people to play this game with me than other PvP minigames, so S tier. Build Battle. Look, I'm not the best builder in the world, but I can appreciate the modes that Build Battle has to offer. It can be pretty fun to just build things, even if there's that one guy every game that knows how to make a pixel-perfect recreation of the Mona Lisa. It's hard for me to really care, since to me it's just a relaxing building game. It does kinda suck that in a game like this you're bound to get people who don't follow the prompts or boost their friends' scores. It doesn't bother me too much considering I play this game pretty casually, but I think more active players of this game would find that pretty annoying. The process of building and then seeing everybody else's build is what really makes it fun. Guess the build's pretty cool too. I'd say it's B tier. Cops and Crims. I think Cops and Crims is slightly underrated. It is by no means excellent, but it is situationally fun. I won't play it every single time I log on Hypixel, but it can provide a decent amount of entertainment and even get pretty tense at times. It's not for everyone, and I do get that, but I would still say it's a C tier game. Don't like the guy yelling at me though every time I'm reloading. Duels. Duels has something for just about everyone. It's got pot PvP, UHC, sumo, Skywars, parkour, survival games, tons of stuff. I used to like grinding out win streaks back in the day, but now I pretty much just use it to remove the rust and, you know, warm up a little bit. Yeah, it's a bit simple and repetitive, but it does everything a Duels mode is supposed to do and gives tons of unique options, so I'd say it's B tier. Mega Walls. I've always understood why Mega Walls has had a loyal following behind it for a long time. There's a decent amount of depth to it and a good amount of customization options and the variety of classes. That being said, it's just not for me. This is just personal preference, but I don't like double health in PvP minigames. I'm not sure if that's why I can't get into it, and to be honest, I'm not 100% sure. It's just I play one game and think, yeah, that's enough. While I think it's above a D tier game, I've honestly only had a D tier level of enjoyment out of it, so I think that's a fair spot for me. Is it wrong to say I'd rather play Crazy Walls than this? Murder Mystery. I honestly used to really not like Murder Mystery, but I think that's more of me getting burnt out of it when the game was new. Back then, I used to find Murder Mystery uninteresting, and while I do still think it can suffer from that, I can definitely appreciate it more now than I did back then. Sometimes I'll just sorta jump around Hypixel lobbies to give my fingers something to mindlessly do. Murder Mystery is like that to me, just with slightly more brain power required. Also, I think Assassins is pretty fun. Still C tier though. Paintball Warfare. Maybe I just don't know what I'm doing, but honestly, I just don't have much fun with this one, and it doesn't really interest me either. This is a game you play once in a while out of boredom because it can be enjoyable, but throwing snowballs at people gets old fast, and while that's not the entirety of the game mode, it's a very large portion of it. Not terrible, but I tend to avoid it. That's a D tier for me. Quackcraft. I know some people really like Quackcraft, but I am not one of those people. I dislike it for the same reasons that I don't like Paintball. It's just too repetitive for me, and I'm doing the same thing every game. The difference with Paintball, though, is that I can have fun with that game. With Quackcraft, I just don't ever seem to enjoy myself. Feels nice to get a kill combo every now and then, and you can get some pretty clean ones in Quackcraft, but it doesn't save the overall experience for me. I find it boring. Sorry y'all, it's an F tier for me. Skywars. I recently made an entire video discussing whether or not I still have fun with Skywars, so I don't really see a point in talking too much about it here. Basically, I find the game to still be fun when I'm in the right mood for it, but it is not as good as it used to be. Thing is, at its peak, it's the most fun I've ever had on Hypixel. While the current state of the game can be a bit rough, it deserves A tier for those fond memories. Smash Heroes. I'll be honest, I have barely touched Smash Heroes since its release. I gave it a shot when it first came out, I got bored, and I moved on. I play it again for this, and I feel the same way. There's some cool ideas here, and the visuals are nice, but I feel no incentive to really ever play it again. My thought process after playing Smash Heroes is just, well, that sure was a game. If you can enjoy it, cool, but I'm fine with letting it stay in the depths of D tier. Speed UHC. This is a weird one for me. I kinda liked this one when it came out, but in recent years I just haven't felt any need to come back to it. It can be fun, but it's also prone to getting stale. Even when this was new, I'd only sometimes play it because I found the structure kinda repetitive. I see this as a fun game mode that you can only get so much out of. I get why it's now part of the UHC Champions lobby instead of just being its own full game mode. Since the lobby's merged, I might as well also talk about UHC Champions as well. It's fun sometimes. I've played a good amount of UHC in my days, but most of it was not on Hypixel. I find UHC in general as a game mode that can sometimes be a lot of fun, can also sometimes feel like a complete waste of your time. It's like that on Hypixel as well. I don't particularly care for custom crafts in UHC though, nor do I like double health in PvP as I stated earlier. Those are personal preference things though, and you might like them. I've heard UHC is pretty hacker infested today though. Right now I'd consider both Speed UHC and UHC Champions as C tier games. Blitz survival games. I like survival games in theory, and I've enjoyed watching videos of the game from time to time, but I need to be in a very particular mood to want to actually play it. It's definitely worth giving a shot, because it's fun from time to time, and I like the open-endedness and size of the maps. It makes creating your own routes pretty interesting, although I admittedly tend to play the game by just running around the map and seeing what the hell happens, because that's more fun for me. Don't usually win that way, but it can be fun, and that's what matters. Usually it's a C tier game though. The walls. Up to this point, I think my opinions have been pretty run-of-the-mill, or at least close to normal. But this is where things get weird. I love the walls. It is genuinely one of my favorite PvP minigames. I'm disappointed that this game never gets any love these days. I guess it just hasn't been popular in a very long time, but even today, I still think it holds up. It can be a little annoying to die right after the walls fall down, but it's not usually that bad. I like this one a lot. Maybe I should make a video of it sometime to prove my point. I don't know. The game's simple, but it works for me, and maybe some of that is just fond memories, but I don't care. It's an A tier game for me. TNT Games. There are a few TNT games, and I'll admit that I'm kind of mixed on these. They're fun distractions for a night, but I don't really see how people can grind stats in these or just play a lot of games in a row. If you're just playing casually, these are fun to try out and definitely worth a shot. I'd say TNT Run is probably the one I enjoy the most. It somehow finds a way to be both relaxing and intense at the same time for me. I think a lot of people would rank these higher than I would, but I don't consistently enjoy it enough to give it more than a C. Turbo Kart Racers. I love the custom resource pack for this. The visuals and sound design are really good, which is why it's a shame that I have to put it in the F tier where it truly belongs. This kind of game just doesn't work well at all with Minecraft. If I'm gonna play a kart racer, there are so many better ones out there. This controls worse than Eminem's kart racing for Wii. To be honest though, I'm surprised Hypixel even made this playable. Still F tier though. VampireZ. Weirdly, VampireZ is a chill and casual experience for me. I don't know if that's the way the game is meant to be played, but that's how I always have, and that's just how I feel while I play it. Doesn't really require much brain power to win, especially as a vampire, but I think it's good that Hypixel has some games like that. It's pretty relaxing. It can be a bit repetitive, and there's a couple spots on certain maps where it feels like survivors can just really easily camp and win, but maybe that's just me. Overall, I'd consider VampireZ a good, not great game, which I'd say is C tier. Warlords. I have similar feelings about this that I do with Smash Heroes. I haven't played it much, but nothing about the bit I have played has really made me want to continue. Maybe it gets more fun the more I level up, but going through that process just doesn't interest me enough to keep me engaged with the game. I play this once or twice a year, and not one of those times I've given it a shot have I wanted to come back to it. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just not interested in it beyond a very occasional visit. Because of that, I feel D tier is appropriate for Warlords. And that should be everything on the tier list. If you want to complain that I didn't cover a game or whatever, the tier list uses this page on Hypixel's website that shows every single released game. The tier list has one more than this page because it was made before Speed UHC got married to UHC Champions, but I think I covered everything. That should be it though. I hope you guys can enjoy my 100% accurate tier list. I don't think there's that many outliers on this. There's a couple notable ones, but I think overall this is a pretty good one. To all the Quackcraft fans that want to send me hate mail, don't! Instead, click the subscribe button with the notifications on. Then you can see whenever I'm making my next video. Have a great day, everyone. Goodbye!